Bloodhound was one of the legends that came with Apex on release, has received numerous buffs along the way, and will probably see some play leading into Season 15, with Broken Moon and all. So I played Bloodhound for 100 hours, and here's what I learned. But first, heed my warning to anyone who dares tread the path of a scan legend. You're walking down a dangerous path where you won't be able to play a game without a recon legend on your team. Bloodhound Scan is just a gateway wall hack, and if you aren't careful, you'll slip into Seer, and before you know it, you're crawling around in the back alleys of the internet looking just for another. You're tired of playing Apex Legends, and you just want to embrace the Scooby-Doo persona. Enemies who walk through an area, interacts with their surroundings, heals up, and other vital information is all visible through the tracks. These tracks start out red and will turn gray the older they are. Clues will note how long ago they occurred and stay on the ground for 90 seconds. Their passive also adds these weird ravens, but nobody really knows what they do. But they do seem to appear around tracks. If you use a scope, you can see the clues from farther away. And you can either keep your head down and follow the tracks to find where your enemies are at, or just look up because odds are they're probably staring right at you. You can also scan beacons to get information on an X-ring because Bloodhound is a recon character. Their tactical Eye of the All-Father allows you to reveal all enemies within a 125-degree cone right in front of you, reaching up to 75 meters away, which is cool because it'll let you have a chance in the wallhack meta without actually having to aim your own scan ability. Scan enemies and traps are revealed through walls for 3 seconds, so you want to try to use this whenever you aren't sure where exactly the enemies are, or mid-fight when they are behind cover to help your team focus fire. It also tells you how many enemies that you have highlighted, and if you manage to scan over 10 enemies at the same time, I'll just tell you that you're If two Bloodhounds are up against each other, there's a bit of a metagame going on revolving the scans, because having a wallhack with permanent information on the position of the enemies readily at hand is surprisingly pretty strong. But if you use your scan, it will give you that small reveal and then go on a 25-second cooldown. That means that if you are up against another Bloodhound, the Bloodhound who uses their tactical first will generally lose. This is because they might just give away the advantage of the wallhacks too early, and then the other team who still has their wallhack get even more value out of their own scan because it's very one-sided. Most high-level Bloodhound players know this, and if you waste your scan, they will make sure to try and punish that 25-second window to get a pick or even win the fight. On the flip side, if you see a Bloodhound waste their tactical for seemingly no reason, that might be the perfect entry to push in. Just remember that they can get a faster cooldown if they pop their ultimate. Also keep in mind that using the scan makes this very large, very visible cone and will alert the enemy team of what you are trying to do. Not only that, but any other teams who might be somewhere nearby will see the scan and probably start heading towards your location. Their ultimate, Beast of the Hunt, transforms you into the ultimate hunter, just like Scooby-Doo when he gets a Scooby snack. While in your ultimate, your movement speed is increased by 30%, your vision turns black and white, except for enemies that are very visibly highlighted in red, even through visual obstructions such as Bangalore's or Caustic Smokes. You want to make sure to make the most out of this by trying to move around as much as possible when taking fights, especially in 1v1s, and playing around smokes where applicable to make sure that the enemy can't shoot back at you. The enemy's footprints are also highlighted in red, allowing you to track how enemies moved mid-fight, and some things like the ring, grenades, and various enemy abilities will keep a little bit of color so you don't run out into the street and die. Keep in mind that the ultimate does change your FOV, meaning that you may experience more lag and your sensitivity will change. If you don't want this to happen, make sure to turn off FOV ability scaling in your settings. The added movement speed is great since it allows you to climb a little bit higher than you would outside of your ultimate, and reach places that you simply couldn't climb otherwise. Very much like with Wraith's tactical, which also has a 30% speed increase. If you still need a little bit of a boost to reach where you want to climb, remember to do a side input at the very end of your climb animation to stretch a little bit higher. Not only that, but your tactical's cooldown is reduced to 8 seconds and activation time is reduced to 0.9, allowing you to scan like crazy and only having a few seconds of downtime of scan mid-ult. Make sure to keep scanning as you fight to ensure that your teammates always knows what's happening. Downing an enemy will also add 5 to 15 seconds to the duration of your ultimate, depending on the remaining duration of the ability, so you definitely want to make sure to kill steal from your teammates to add to your kill count. And if they ask, it was definitely for the ultimate's sake. You want to make sure to use your ultimate right before a fight starts. There's a bit of a balance here, as if you use it too soon, the enemies will be alerted of your presence and back off, and if you use it too late, you won't get the full value of your ultimate. You want to try and time your ultimate to pop when the pressure builds up, but right before the fight starts, so you have a second to survey the surrounding areas for for a third party before going all in with your scans and your ultimate. In addition to that, if you know that you are about to get a knock, you can also activate your ultimate. An early knock will add up to 5 seconds to your timer if you just ulted and allow you to hunt down and find the last remaining enemies of the team. And even though you might feel unstoppable when in your ultimate, don't make the mistake of overextending and getting beamed. Keep in mind that Bloodhound is one of the easiest legends to beam in the game, and they don't even have Fortify, so you have to be really careful with how you position yourself mid-fight. And once a fight is over, make sure to get the most out of your ultimate and run around while spamming your tactical, because you still have the cooldown reduction as long as your ultimate is active, and you will probably get a lot more ultimate duration thanks to cleaning up the fights, and this is a great opportunity to make sure that nobody runs up behind you when you or your team is looting. Seeing as this ultimate can make or break a fight, you want to make sure to carry at least one Scooby snack at a time. Now, these Scooby snacks are labeled incorrectly in game and are called ultimate accelerants for whatever reason. The ultimate also only has a 3-minute cooldown and should be used every time you get into a fight. And as far as the loadout goes, any mid-range weapons make sense. It makes the most sense to run a R31 or Flatline this season, well, I guess generally, equipped with a 2x or 3x. Coupled with something like a shotgun, ideally the Peacekeeper or EVA 8. When you are taking fights, you should generally be in the back line, spamming your scans so you don't get beamed, but you can push forward to ensure you get procs, so your ultimate duration extends every once in a while. You can actually take this backline position to the next level by keeping up with what your teammates want to do. If they want to push forward with your scan, make sure to run forward and swing with them. If they take a lot of merge from, you can also use your tactical as a deterrent to stop enemies from pushing forward, since it is risky to move in the open when you are scanned. If you know that the enemy is overextended and playing behind poor cover, you can actually instruct your teammates to throw a grenade where they are hiding and then scan and wait for the enemy to run out of cover. The highlighting will make it easier for you and your team to shoot them whenever and however they emerge. You also want to look into getting one of these two legendary Bloodhound finishers because they are insanely good to have. You either want the Clean Kill or the With Honor finisher. Both of these finishers will turn your enemy around at the start of the animation, meaning that you can start a finisher, cancel it, and immediately finish the enemy without them ever getting a chance to hold their own knockdown shield up. But what if I told you there was a way to dial these scans up to 11 with a passive that gives you a constant scan and an endless supply of non-stop information about your enemy's whereabouts, even if they've been sitting still for minutes and as such wouldn't have tracks? A passive that'll tell you if somebody's nearby without actually letting them know that you know. And a tactical ability that scans for 8 seconds instead of 3, but not only scans and highlights your enemies, but it displays scan enemies' health and armor for the entire duration of the scan. But not only that, but it also cancels any heals or channeling action that they might be doing, and even silences them for 1.25 seconds, and an ultimate that will keep you safe and alerted of the exact position of any enemies in your general area within 30 seconds without you having to do anything. To do this, all you have to do is play Seer. And while he does take a bit more skill, he is infinitely more useful than Bloodhound, because after playing Bloodhound for 100 hours, I learned that you should really just be playing Seer instead. So if you want to learn how to play Seer, make sure to check out the video on the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.